Hello and welcome back to Clayforge, where I, the Clayforger, am making tiny little figures out of oven baking clay. Today, as the last time we made a tiny little demon, today we're going to make a big demon. This demon is a demon lord. Like the last time, it's from the game series Kingdom Rush. And also this character is also from Kingdom Rush. And I will show you how to create one of yourself. This is try an experiment before I made the video to see if I like the way I made it. So the final product will not be this. So I will make the colors ready, mix a few of them, and then let's begin. And here we are ready with all the colors. We need a bit of gold, as you can see, for the shoulder patches. We need a bit of black, a bit of, this is not clear white, this is clear white. The difference is not that much, but this is going to be a bit of bone white, I would call it. Regular red, regular orange, a bit of dark brown, then a bit of a mixture. This is a mixture of black, white, and a bit of dark brown, a bit of yellow, and a bit darker orange. The color gradient is noticeable, but it's not that big of a deal if you don't use this color, so a slightly darker orange for the demon. It's just that I mix the colors where I already want to have them. So, in the beginning, as you can see, the skin color of the demon is this. So we need to start with this. So I'll put away the clay again and going to show you how to make the torso. So now for the torso, I do have to say this one is not perfect. His legs, if you look at him, his legs are very, very short and it doesn't look very good. I like him still. I like the end result for my first demon lord, but I think in this video I will make it even better. So let's put him back on his place where you can see him. And now for the body, for the torso. This ball of clay, I am squeezing it to the right size, and this will be the upper half of his body. He is very muscular, a very muscular and strong demon lord. The point is, you need to make sure it's not too big, because if you make it too big, it's going to end like my result, and you won't fit with other figures of this scale and have too short legs. So you have to look out for that. So you can see here is going to be the head, and now I'm taking a sharp knife. We're just going to cut it here. As you can see, it's nearly the same, but it's still smaller. And if you want to make it even tinier, I could show you. Then you just need to roll the bit here, squeeze a bit, that it's nearly like a square, squeeze it even more. Then you're getting a smaller torso. Of course, you have to cut the end away, so you don't have this anymore. So, now, what does this demon lord have? He has some very good muscles on his chest and even on his stomach. So let's make these. For this I'm using my clay shaper. It's a bit broken on the one side, but it still works on the other one. So first I'm making the details that I already want to have there, and now I am defining it so they look smoother and better. This demon lord, as I mentioned earlier, is also part of the game series Kingdom Rush, and he only appears in 2 games, in the last official game and in the first. In the first he was an enemy you had to fight, a very strong enemy, coming together with these, as I created in the last video, tiny little demon goons. So they always come with him and he always comes with them. So he's like I'm your boss, I will protect you, I'll give you powers. Because I couldn't recreate it, but he has the special ability to give other ones a shield, other demons a shield. This is what I'm trying to create here with this little fireball. The final fireball will be better, but that's how they're related to each other. Of course, they both come from hell, so fiery demons. So, refining even more and even more. And for the torso, it is nearly finished. One thing you can still do is, you can see it here. Yes, I would say a bit of ribs showing. He has no six-pack or anything. I think it doesn't need to. He'll still look strong with his big arms and his strong head and horns and everything. So, basically the torso is finished. So let's put him here. And now, for the next part, we're going to make his legs. So, again, I'm preparing the color. Let's see you again. Here is now the color for the feet. Of course, a demon, like the devil, has goat legs and goat hooves. So I'm taking brown. It's probably difficult to see, but these tiny little stripes that you can maybe see, this is supposed to be fur texture. It's not perfect, I do have to say. By touching it again and again, it always gets a little bit smoother. So if I touch these horns too much, one day they're not going to be horns anymore, but little balls just pressed in. But that's why I'm baking them. In the end, as I said, it's oven hardening clay, and so it hardens in the oven, and then it's durable for most of the time. So now I made a ball, squeezed it, rolled it a little bit, and now I'm looking and checking. As you can see, it's way too big, so let's move it a little, let's roll it even more, so in the end it will fit. You can see now the upper area is not really smooth anymore, so let's roll it again. And now let's see if it's maybe already tiny. Squeeze a bit flatter, and now I think it looks much better than before. Now I'm using another clay shaper. It's a bigger one, and now I'm like lining this together. So all these little lines that are here are not anymore there. So it really looks like you wouldn't be wearing some kind of fur pants, but it is actually his lower body. Now, let's cut his legs off. And now let's give him some real legs, because this looks like a skirt. Which kind of demon wears a skirt? He's not a Scottish man. So, now I'm cutting this triangle in it, and this triangle now creates the hooves. The legs. Now he has some legs, but as you can see, it's very sharp legs. We don't want him to have sharp legs, we want him to have real legs. So I'm smoothing this. As you can see, if the camera would focus, I'm pressing with my clay shaper the edges down. Of course, you could, with another thing, roll it, but that's yours to decide. I think for such a small scale, it's easier if you just flatten it down at first. In the end, you can still make a difference and do it differently. So now his legs, no, they look good, but not perfect. So now let's roll these legs a bit so they are not an oval or egg shape, but a real round shape. So now let's smooth and flatten a bit the ends here. And now let's look at him. His legs are already longer than the ones before. And now let's compare him with another figure. let's compare him with this tiny little demon. Yeah, let's say the hoofs, the head, and I think he has a good size. Now, what is next? Of course, the hoofs, I think we can still let them be a bit. Now, what does he need? Some big broody arms. So for that, I'm preparing the clay again. And now we have two equally sized balls of orange, dark orange clay. Now, these balls, this is how I'm going to make the arms. Going to smooth them, roll them a bit. The point is, as you can see, sorry my big guy, it's thicker on the one side and thinner on the other. This is because arms are mostly on the upper arm, they're thicker. They're bigger, they're stronger, more muscular, and so you don't roll this way, but you roll a bit curved. You roll at a certain angle. Now, they need to be the same length. Not really. A little bit more here. And now you can see it. So, now, what do we do now? Of course, an arm can't just put it on like that. It looks stupid. We have to later cut it in an angle, so a flat side will be on the arm. But for now, we're going to define how the arm will look. We can even make it a bit longer, a bit thinner in the end. So, I mean, we don't need this big arms. We need normal sized big arms. And so, now we can create it like this. Cut. And they're nearly the same size. Now, I'm going to define the arm shape to save some time, because the last video was half an hour and even longer, and I don't want you to wait that long, so now I'm going to cut again. Let's see you in a moment. Now, the arms are finished. As you can see, I modeled in the textures of the muscles, modeled them in like this. Squeeze it together so it has a nice angle. It doesn't really matter if the one angle is bigger than the other. An arm can also be straight in one direction. It doesn't really matter, but that's how I did the arm shape. As you can see here, this arm has much more wrinkles, details, whatever you call them. That's because the model had some different design, and I like it on the model, but it's not really makeable on such a small scale in this mini figure texture with clay. So I left a few on the dents and muzzle parts that would be here and here. So now we have the arms. As you can see, he has some, I would say, wrist rings around his arms. And now we're just going to cut a bit of the arm away, so his arms won't be too long. We don't need arms like a orangutan, just need normal arms. So, and now we need the angle to get the arms on the body. As you can see, I'm cutting away, so the arms are in a slightly not straight position, but they do it be a bit angled. Now, as you can see, this looks much better than we would just make it all like that. So now we have that. Of course, it's not finished, because we need to smooth these edges. You still need his belt, his necklace, and everything else. So now, what we're going to do, I do have to say I like doing the golden parts last, because gold is a very sparkly color. You are able to see it. It's very shiny, and also it has some kind of glitter in it. So I don't want him to have glitter hands out of glitter orange. So that's what I'm trying to avoid by using the gold as the last piece. Now, make two nearly equal sized balls of clay to create his hands. Now you can, as the tiny demon goons I showed in the last video and showed you at this time, they don't really have hands. That's in the design, and in the game design I'm picking him from, he has real hands. So you can take these as his hands and they probably still work, or you can just give him real hands. Now, it's a bit tricky, I do have to say that. And you have to be careful, because if you don't make it right, they don't really look like real hands. So this would look like the palm of a hand, but not really much more. So for a fist, like we have it here, we would need a little bit more clay. The point is, for an open hand, you don't need much more clay. If you make it right, it's already enough like this. We can also squeeze a bit the arms so they are a bit thinner and so it fits more. So that's something you have to decide for yourself always, if you like it or not. I mean, he can have giant hands, hands as big as this, or as big as this, but I don't think it really looks like something I would want now on my figures, so I'm making it this way. Now, we have this ball of clay. We squeeze it here, so it's going to be something of a shape of angles, as you can see. And now I'm putting it on here. This is a roller to make things flat. I don't want to do it now because then I would have ruined the figure, so let's do it on here. It's just like you would have something on a stand to have it more near your face, so you wouldn't have to come down, get off my chair and sit like on the floor to see actually what I'm doing on the table. So now I have made this line. This line is going to be the piece here. This is going to be the line. As you can see, on one side we have to make this detail. It's really easy to make. Just make one here and you already have it. So now we of course need the other side. I will make a thumb later, but now we have this to work with. We're making it smooth a bit. So now we already have that. Now we take it off, put the roll away, and now we can smooth it here. So also the palm of the hand looks good. Now, as you know, a hand has this line, and I'm just going to create it like every cartoon character has it, truly in the middle of the hand. It's not something difficult, it's not something that is completely realistic, but it works, so I think it looks okay. Now we need the fingers. As you can see, he has 3 fingers and a hidden thumb. So sorry, that was the chair. Sometimes it makes a bit of noise. Now we define the fingers. As you can see, on the top and here. Now you can always make it on both sides, so on this side and on this side, so the fingers will look smooth. I'm going to make that quick and then I'm going to show you the other hand. So now, as you can see, I have already made a thumb. Nothing special, just a roll of clay, and you cut it at a slight angle, so like this, and you have a thumb. This thumb can already be attached here, but I'm not doing it because I first want to define the fingers on this hand. As I said before, he has 3 fingers. You can make 4 or 5 on each hand. Like you want, you can give him 1,000 fingers if you can do it. Would be very impressive. Now we have this. They look a bit edgy, I do have to say, but as we have our tools, we can always change that. Again, the chair. So now we just have to smooth it out. I'll make it also quick, so saving time. And then he has two finished hands in a moment. So now, as you can see, maybe it looks a bit weird from afar, but this is his hand. This is from the top, this is from the bottom. This hand is nearly ready. The only thing left for this hand is the fireball, but I will create it at near the end because now we have some more important things to do. His arms are nearly done, and now I'm going to smooth these edges in. I could use this tool to really roll it so it's together, but on such a small scale it just rips the clay away and it doesn't really look good in the end. So for my opinion at least, so I'm using this tool again. You can still see the edge, but it looks more like a piece that should be together. So now, I mean, it's even covered up with these shoulder patches, so it's not going to be a real problem. And now we're going to take and need the most important thing, the head. The head is something I had a bit of struggle with at the first figure, because his head doesn't look bad here, but if you compare it to other heads from other figures I have already made, it just looks too big, it's too bulky, and that's something I don't want, because yeah, a too big head looks like he would be I don't know what kind of character has a too big head to even walk around with. So now I'm making the lower jaw. As you can see, his jaw is a real chin forward, very, very big. You have to see this size is good, and then you need to do something else. You need to cut it a bit, and now it can be even lower, because if you have it like this, it would look up into the sky, because our chin is not directly in front of us, but it's the lower part of our face. So now we need a few teeth, at least something that looks like teeth. For this, I'm just taking a little bit, a tiny worm of this bone white clay I made earlier. I'm going to cut it into the right shape, make it a bit edgy, make it a bit right size, and now let's smooth this again a little bit. Smooth it again, smooth it again. Now we can already attach it here. It looks a bit dumb, but as you don't need to open his mouth at the figure I'm creating, of course you can make it like he is roaring or screaming, but that's not what I'm trying to do here. So this is already finished. Of course you can add some tiny little lines to recreate his teeth. But now we're on to the head. I'll make the head of the shape, and again another cut. As you can see, I have made the head shape. It's a very rectangular shape to fit on the head. It's, in general, the figure is very edgy from the look of it. And now I've made the eye sockets. He doesn't really have normal eyes, he has just two yellow glowing eyeballs, but I think it's fine for someone who lives in hell. Now, defining that, we have this face. You can always smooth it a bit. And as you can see, he has very, very thick and big details on his head. So let's create them. Now just smooth them out a bit again, so they don't just look like lines. Sometimes take the head off and smooth them a bit so he has still the right shape. Sometimes they lose their shape if you make it too much, and sometimes you just have a flat bulb of clay that you want to have as your face, but it's just like a pancake. We don't want that, I think. So that is finished. Now the next part to do is on his side. You can also see a bit of details. I'm really sorry for the camera, but it's not really that good of a thing to you film with your phone if you want to upload it on video on YouTube. So we're now making this. It's like a shape for the skull. I think that's already fine. And now we'll take a ball tool, a small one, and make his eyes. Well, at least the holes where his eyes should be. Now, his eyes are not really round in this shape, this face. His eyes are more like a little worm, and so we're making it a bit long instead of round. Give him a bit even more edgy, even more angry look. So now we can take a bit of very, very bright yellow. The color from Fimo is called lemon, so like a lemon. Now make some tiny, tiny balls. Roll a little bit so they get a bit longer, and then just put them into his eye sockets. It doesn't look good now, but now we're taking another tool. It's also just a ball clay shaper to shape these little long balls, and now they look like they would truly be in the eye sockets. Now I'll make the teeth and everything ready, and then we're going to see each other again. So now we have the head finished. At first he looked a bit like a vampire with these giant teeth, but he will look like a demon. Now we have to take these. I think everyone can imagine what these even bigger teeth are going to be. These are going to be his horns, his devil horns. They're not big, they're relatively tiny for his size, and I think a real demon king or something like that, real devil, would probably have even larger ones. So you can place them wherever you want. You can place them in front of his hand, in front of his head. You could place them aside of his head, like I am going to do it, or you could place them at the back of his head, wherever you want. You could place them as ears. There are many designs to do, but as this design from the game chooses to do it like this, I'm also going to do it like this. Attach his horns and smooth them so they look at the right angle. So now we have the head. Now we have the hands, head, feet. Now we need the feet. Of course, we can't forget the feet, because, well, how is he going to walk? Can't think he can float. He is not an angel. He doesn't have wings. So now we're going to take this very dark brown gray or brownish gray. Now we have two hoofs. Of course, hoofs mostly have one side that is relatively straight. I'm sorry, I have to cut the video for a moment. So now the hoofs are ready. I just smooth them like this, and now I'm going to create the fireball. I'll make another cut. For this I'm just using orange, red and yellow, so till it's ready. So now I've made two versions of a fireball little flame. This is one of them. This is just all mixed together. This is, I think it's not the best, but it's like a bit more cartoony, a bit more simple. It's just this with yellow, red and orange stripes around it, and so we can put this in his hand. You can decide what looks best for your figure. You can even write in the comments what you like more. I think I can do it later on, so I'll bake both of them and see what looks better. Now, to the last part, the gold. I'll make the gold ready and we see each other again in a moment. And I've scooped a bit. Now we're already done. You can see I made the belt, just rolled a worm of clay. In the middle I squeezed it a bit and then I got this point. Then the necklace, just cut a triangle, make a little flat round area into stripes. For these arm patches, also just take a tiny little clay ball and press it a bit down, and these are also just rolled to the edges thinner, and then just a bit of detail in it. You can see on this one I definitely made the hoofs and the fur texture better. You can see it much better, and now we can actually compare these two to each other. I do have to say I like his body more, but his head more. Yeah, it's always something, but I think he looks pretty good. After oven baking, I think, as I can't bake every figure for each time, I think for each month I'll make videos, and after the month ends I'll bake the figures and then show you what they look like after the baking process. Maybe even what kind of improvements I would make on these figures. But that's it. A demon lord for his tiny little demon companions. I thank you very much for watching. Leave a comment if you like, would be great support for me, and see you next time. This was the Clay Forge.